Hey, I'm Rose, and you're watching The Sovereign Soul. I support people to live beyond ego and limitations to know true freedom by supporting you to become a master of yourself. I am a nervous system and soul guide, and this is an emotional freedom and inner peace series, the second part of it. So, today I want to talk about spiritual slavery. Is Earth a prison or is it a school? I'm also going to cover the concepts of consciousness and awareness and truth. So, if we dive straight in, consciousness and awareness are both things that are on a sliding scale. Higher consciousness, meaning you're in a state of enlightenment, high awareness. Lower consciousness means you're living from a space of fear and guilt and shame. And there are a lot of teachings that split that into the concepts of fear and love. And so, for ease, that is what I am going to do today. But it's important to understand that consciousness is not a set thing. It's not like, the heavens open and all of a sudden you are this enlightened being. I think people can be enlightened on certain topics and then very ill enlightened or uninformed on others. And when we go through our own process as a human being, we go through an array of emotions, which means we go through an array of vibration. We definitely have a core vibration, and I would say that can also be where your consciousness can be stuck, because you can have awareness to see beyond where your limitations are. But important to understand that that's something that is in a growth process. Some stuff you'll have figured out and some stuff you won't. So, truth. Truth is seeing things as they are, not as you want them to be. So, truth is always honest, it's always real, and it is transparent. And I would also say that higher consciousness is something that will always come from truth as opposed to fear. So, when you are in the track of truth, you are in the track of love. And love is equality. It means that you see the divine in everyone, including yourself. No one on this earth is better than you, and you are not better than anyone else. When you are living in that space and living in truth, you are living as your own autonomous being. Nothing has power over you, and you then also wouldn't have power over anybody else. So if we go back to this frequency chart, because everything in life can be measured by frequency, and we go and we see that love is top frequency, fear bottom frequency. One feels nice, one doesn't feel good. When we're living in the track of fear, we are disempowered, we are easy to manipulate, we are disconnected from ourself, from our consciousness, from our divinity. And what that means is we don't have faith and trust in ourselves. So if you don't trust in yourself, you will fear that you don't actually have the answers for yourself. You'll fear being wrong and what the consequences of being wrong is. And you will also fear being responsible for yourself, because it's just too much if you are wrong. So therefore, you feel incapable of leading yourself, and generally you feel subpar, which means equal to everybody and everything else on the planet or in the universe. You certainly do not feel when you are in a track of fear. So when you are in a track of fear, you will give authority over yourself and your life to others. So systems, people, things that you believe have more power than you do or know better than you do. So therefore, you stop looking for answers within yourself, which is empowering, and you start looking for answers outside of yourself. And you believe that everything is outside of you when you become disconnected. You believe that love exists outside. If you want to feel loved, you need the right person, and that's where you're going to get your connection from. If you're looking for enlightenment or God, that's outside. Approval, validation, you need other people to give that to you in order for you to feel worthy. Meaning and fulfillment all comes from what you do outside, or what's happening outside, what you have or what you don't have. and right down to your health. You live in your body, yet you feel that someone who barely knows you has more understanding and authority over how your body works than you do. And joy is another thing. We're always looking outside for all of these things, and very seldom do we look inside. So remember what I said, love means equality, which means there is no power or authority over anyone or anything else. And I am getting to my point on why spiritual slavery, or why I believe that we are in a space of spiritual slavery. Because when we're living in truth, we're living as our own autonomous beings. We are self-led, which means nobody and nothing is going to have power over you. But currently, the way the condition of the earth is, it's very obvious. So again, truth is about being transparent, and it's being about honest. It's about believing what is true, or seeing what is true and what is real, not what you want to believe. And at the moment, people do not know who and what they are. Most people are suffering. Most people are living in lack and huge amounts of fear. And then the big question is, was this condition manipulated, or was it a gift? And I ask that because, is Earth a school, or is Earth a prison? Is it slavery, or is it this big life lesson that we're supposed to learn to get to a space of enlightenment? So the way I see it is that the way we landed up where we are was through dishonest manipulation for power. Like, the fine print was omitted, meaning that however we got to where we are, we were asked to give our power away. And so we then gave our authority over to others, systems, whatever you want to call it. And that thing that orchestrated this situation knew what it was doing, and it knew that it wanted power. It wasn't making decisions based on equality for everyone to win. And that's why we live in such an unequal world. I do believe, though, that it still was a choice, because you cannot be in a situation that you're in without saying yes somewhere along the line, somewhere along the soul journey. Otherwise, you do not have sovereignty or authority over your own life. So I do believe that manipulation was still a choice that you made, but it was an unconscious choice, meaning you didn't know what you were signing up for fully and completely, because the fine print wasn't there. So basically, there was an agreement. And so we came into these circumstances, and then energetic and soul extortion begins, which is its currency, really. And basically, the condition of the planet has just gotten worse and worse. So whoever started the game was all about power, not love. And it's pretty apparent, like I say, when you just look at the condition of Earth and most people. So what I see is that if you're omitting details, you're not given the full picture. I like to say, hey, if you agree to do this, then you're going to be disconnected from this. And then the consequences of being disconnected will be X, Y, and Z. And there will be a lot of suffering, and there will be wars and starvation and endless emotional misery. None of that was given. It was sold as something was sold as a good idea, but it wasn't really. All the details were not given, is pretty much how I see it. And what we've done, I don't know if you've watched Shrek, I don't know which Shrek it is, but the one where he signs the contract with Rumpelstiltskin, and pretty much that's what it is that human beings have done. They have signed a contract and they don't know the fine print, and now are stuck in a low dimension of consciousness and don't actually know how to reclaim their sovereignty. When I meditate and when I tune in and I look at Earth, I see it like this energetic grid around the planet that is bound together by systems. And these systems are kept in place and strengthened through the beliefs of the people that support them. So both spiritually and physically. So whatever someone believes is true makes that thing stronger and stronger and stronger through beliefs. And I think it's also why people are encouraged so much to really connect and identify with the belief of what they think they are. when they totally miss the point. So your soul is currency. And it's why all major religions actually require you to give your soul. Because remember, we're asking about spiritual slavery here. And is earth a prison or is it a school? So basically, if a person is unconscious, your soul becomes enslaved. And then it becomes enslaved through fear. So giving that power away over your own autonomy and your own soul and your own choices and your own ability to connect to something great inside of yourself. So death, the afterlife, and what happens to your soul when you die, it's a massive question. And it's also a massive fear. People fear the unknown. And I've said that death is as natural as dying, but it's actually as natural as being born. Yet it is something that is feared completely and entirely. And so imagine for a moment that your consciousness doesn't die. So the what you believe and how you feel and what you think continues to live. But if it hasn't elevated while you were on earth and you die believing that you don't have value, that you're not equal, and that you have to come back to finish your karmic debt or in order to evolve more, in order to get out of the planet, all of those things will keep you coming back here. So basically, it is like a form of soul recycling. I can't see it in any other way. And that's all reincarnation is. It's people who strengthen the belief system and keep coming back into crazy circumstances because their consciousness believes they don't deserve anything better than that. And again, like I say, there's fine print right in the beginning when we came to this journey in the first place of human beings on earth. So essentially, human beings are not living free while we are alive in our physical body on earth. So, what would make us think that we are free when we die or that we are already free spiritually? Because ultimately, spiritual slavery is what keeps earth slavery running and vice versa. So, whatever's going on in the spiritual realm is a mirror for what is going on earth, or anything going on earth is a mirror for what is going on in the spiritual realm. So, I mean, I suppose it doesn't feel very liberating to know that, but it is, because it allows a person to actually come back to yourself. It makes the unconscious conscious. And then it allows you to see truth, to be honest with yourself. And then you'll be able to turn the unconscious into something conscious. So turning any form of a prison that we might be in that slavery, into a school where we can elevate our own consciousness and we can move out of this cycle, these reincarnation cycles. It becomes a choice, a conscious choice for being here, as opposed to what it currently is. So it's also important to remember that only you have the power to free yourself and to free your consciousness and to move from a space from fear into a space of love. And the only way out is through, and the only way through is through you, to know yourself and to be willing to be your own leader and authority in your own life, and to stop giving your power away spiritually and mentally and emotionally and physically and energetically, and start looking for answers inside of yourself. I have created a resource library and you can have free access to that. The link is in the description. It's for personal and spiritual development, for everything that can help to empower you on your journey. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for this one. If you have any questions, then please, by all means, leave it in the comments.